Hello, Memory Dex card friends. It's Becky here with Bestie Becky's Crafts, and today I'm going to do a tutorial on how to make purse Memory Dex cards. We are going to have a swap making purses, and so I thought I'd give you a little demo and show you how they're made. And they're really easy, and they don't take too long. And there are so many possibilities on what you can do with them. So let's go ahead and get started with a basic purse. And we're going to go ahead and make this one to start. Kind of a basic how to do one. And then we'll kind of go over the other ones and how they are made to give you some ideas. So set those off to the side. I'm going to put that one up there. And what you're going to need to do is cut a piece of cardstock that is 9 inches by 4 inches. And then you can use, I just use plain cardstock. So, or you can use double-sided cardstock. You know, it doesn't matter. Completely up to you. That's the fun of it. And then you'll need your scoring board, and along the 9-inch side you are going to need to score at 3 1/4 and at 7 3/4. Had to do my math real quick. 7 3/4. And that's all you need to do with your scoreboard. So put that off to the side. And then you need to fold it. And I forgot my bone folder, of course. But we're just going to fold up the 3 3/4 side. And we're going to leave the rest of it straight for now, because we are going to cut our holes in the bottom for it to go into our Memory Dex keeper. However you keep your Memory Dex cards. The little punch, you know, on the bottom. I don't have my punch yet. She's supposed to mail it out tomorrow, so hopefully I get it soon. But until then, I just use my die that I got on AliExpress from the Alina craft store. You've seen me use it before. It will cut through both layers. I run it through a couple times just to make sure, but you cut your holes in the bottom. Just center it, cut your holes. I won't do that now. And then we're going to fold our top down, and so you get your basic purse shape. And then on this one, I used a punch and punched a decorative edge on the flap. But you don't have to do that if you don't want to. Or you could use a corner rounder, or, you know, like I said, just leave it straight. In this case, I covered it with a piece of different colored cardstock. You can do that. You don't have to. I made a paper handle here, which I'm not real thrilled about. I mean, it's okay, but I'd probably do ribbon or something else different instead for next time. And the closure that I made on this one, and let me put that aside. I mean, you see how easy it was to make that base. And then the rest of it is just kind of up to you how you decorate it and how you finish the edges and so on. So I'm going to put my basic aside, and to close this one I just punched out a couple flowers, and there's a brad in the center. And what I did was I took where my flap was, and I found the center of my Memory Dex card and came down, I don't know, 1/2 inch from the flap and put a hole there. Okay, just through the one side. Put a hole for my brad. Alright. And so I put my flowers through it and put my brad and then put it in the hole. And what keeps the flap shut on this one is it slides underneath the flower. So the flower actually keeps it closed. So when you open it this way, the back of the brad is underneath all of this. All I did was I cut a mat and I decided to go ahead and make a pocket. So I'll go ahead and flip this around so you can see it. But there's a pocket here where I could put some tags in, I could put a note in, I could put some planner clips, washi tape samples, something like that. So I just decorated it a little bit. And then on the other side, I did a mat, another mat with a decorative punch, and this is where I could write my sentiment, or a little note if I wanted to. So see, isn't that easy? So the only thing with this is to remember to put your brad down a ½ inch below the flap of your purse. And you can use a flower out of your stash. You don't have to make one out of paper. I just happened to make one out of paper because, to be honest, I was too lazy to go dig through my flowers and found a flower that matched. So I just punched it out of paper and made my own. And like I said, the flap just goes underneath the flowers to stay shut. So there's that one. Easy peasy. Alright, so for the next one, it's this style. And I used the same method as I did here. And the only things that I did different were I used a magnet for my closure, and I angled my sides, angled my flap, and rounded the corners. You see that? I like the magnet idea. I like it a lot. I don't like my magnets. I ordered some flatter magnets. I can't seem to find flat magnets at my craft stores. So, the magnet, as you can see, is underneath my bow. I really dislike how thick it is. And the other part of it is underneath this scallop circle and heart. And again, it's bumpy. You can see where it is. Not thrilled. But I like the idea. And then down here, I matted it to write your sentiment. So, to do this one, and I added a ribbon for the handle. So, for this one, like I said, I angled the edges and the top. So what I did was, I'll show you real quick. I used my ruler, and from the top I marked 1/4 inch, and I did the same on the other side. My frame, no. And then on the other side, I did the same thing. I marked 1/4 inch. And then I drew a line from the corner at the bottom. Let me move up again a little bit. From the corner at the bottom to my mark up here at the top. And you'll be erasing it, so it's not a huge deal if you can see it. And then I did the same thing on the other side. Alright, just like so. And then using my scissors, I just cut following that line. And then stopping at where the flap is, and cutting that off. Now, the reason I like that little 1/4 of an inch there is it just gives you some extra room. If you want anything sticking up there, or anything. And I'm going to cut the other side. Same thing. Okay. So there I have my slanted edge, the bottom. And you go ahead and do your punch at the bottom there too. I did that with my die. And then for the top, I measured in 1/4 of an inch. And then 1/4 of an inch on this side. And then you're going to angle from this point to where you made your mark. And do the same thing on the other side. From this corner on your flap to your mark. And then you're going to go ahead and just cut that off. So it gives you a diagonal for the flap. Alright, and then the last thing is we want to curve that edge. Like I did on this flap. You can see that. There. So to do that, a good old 1/4 of an inch again. I went ahead and opened it. And I'm going to mark a 1/4 of an inch on this edge. 1/4 of an inch on this edge, 1/4 of an inch on this edge, 1/4 of an inch on this edge, and then you're just going to round it. Now you can round it by hand, or sometimes I use like a something that's kind of round and to help me make my rounded shape. I don't trust myself to make a good curve. And then just trim it. And there you go. So just erase your marks, and then you have one that's got a little bit more curve to it than this one, because this one is all straight, pretty straightforward too. But like I said, they're made exactly the same, except I just cut angles and so on. If you wanted to, you could round the bottom of it. You know, you can decorate it however you'd like, and you could put inside of it whatever you'd like. But for this one, I used a magnet to close it. Another example is this one that I made, and what I did was I cut a piece that was about 3.5 by 4, and I cut it at an angle, the same as I did. They're stuck together because I have a magnet in here. Okay. So I cut a piece that was 4 inches by 3.5 inches, and I angled it the same as I did this one, 1/4 of an inch, and I curve the bottom though this time. Made sure I had my punch. And it's actually a piece that's 7 inches, and then I scored it at 3.5. So it's actually just one big piece of paper that I scored in half, did my punches, and then I wanted it to look like one of those purses that you use the clasp, right? Is that how you say it? To open it. So I had to try and figure out, how do I do that, make it look like it, but you're really not going to use the clasp to open it. So I ran the paper through my embossing tool too, if you can see that. And my embossing folder wasn't big enough to do the full 7 inches, so I just did half of the purse and then flipped it over and did the other half of the piece. And these at the top, actually, I used Velcro. I don't know if you can see in there. I used Velcro, it's right there and right there, to do the closure for my purse. I decided to do accordion folds on the side, just as a way to hold things in my purse. So to do that, I just cut a 2-inch piece of paper by, I'm not sure how long, just long enough to fit in there. Scored it a 1/2 inch, so a 1/2 inch, an inch, 1.5 inches, and then did accordion fold like, so you have your mountain and your valley, and then just glued it on so it meets the sides. Did that on both sides, you can see there. And I cut 1/2 inch pieces, I think, for the top piece to cover up the edge, just to try and finish it, and also a place to hide my pearls and my pearl handle. So to do these pearls, I used flat back pearls. These are the actual pearls that I used. Let me check around my bag. These are the actual pearls that I use. And what I did was I actually used the plastic that came with the pearls and cut just a really tiny strip that would fit like in the middle of the pearl and be long enough so that I could glue it down here. I hope that makes sense. So I cut a strip of my plastic, I put one pearl on the end of it, and then I sandwiched another pearl on the back side of the plastic, so the plastic was sandwiched in between the two pearls, and made sure that they dried really good. And then I glued that piece of plastic down in there and glued them so that they bumped up next to each other. If I did it next time, this is pretty flimsy plastic. I mean, it works okay, but it's best to make sure that you get your pearl as close to that edge as possible, so there's not a lot of wiggle room. But I would probably use a stronger plastic, like Shrinky Dink or something like that. Even like plastic container from like leftovers from a restaurant or baked goods or something, but a stronger plastic than what I used. But it worked in the moment, and if you don't have anything else, I mean, it does work, and the plastic is right here. So, but that's how I did that, and I just used the pearl strands and glued it all together, and then used Velcro as my closure. So there's that one, and then I just decorated the front. So, and then the final one, and this one is super easy too. What you need to do is, I found a memory Dex card design die that I liked. Happened to be this one that I thought looked the most purse-like. So I cut out 2 of these, one for the front and one for the back. So it happened to be double-sided paper, which was helpful. If not, I would probably be gluing like 4 pieces together. But the double-sided paper worked really good. So what you do is, after you've cut out your 2 pieces of your memory decks with your die, is you take your scoreboard and you score just the top one at 3/4 of an inch. Leave the back one straight. Okay, this one's not scored, just the front is scored at 3/4 of an inch. So you're just going to glue down here to glue both pieces together. Okay, so this allows you to open it up pretty wide. And then what I did for this top piece was I just measured it from that corner up so far to give me some space here and to give me some space for my circles. Kind of hard to tell they're circles, I guess, because they match so well. But I just cut a strip of paper that was as wide as my memory dex card, as tall as I wanted it. I rounded just the top corners, and I glued it on the back, as you can see here. And I did the same thing for the back side. Alright, and then what I did was I punched out 4 circles, and I'm not sure what size circles they are. They look like 3/4 of an inch circles, and I glued them to, I wanted to offset them like I did the pearls. So that's what I did. I glued them so that they were offset, glued them to the front, glued it to the back. I don't know, maybe you can see it better back here. And then I decided to use Velcro as my closure on this one. This one would be a good one for magnets too. But like I said, my magnets aren't in yet that I ordered. And then I went ahead and I just decorated it. I just put a little spot here where I could put a sentiment, or, you know, if you had a stamp you wanted to use, you could put that there. And I went ahead and made a little pocket, and I put a sticker, just like the sticker I have in the front, in there. But you could put a tag or, you know, other things. And then I put another little sticker over there to decorate it. And that's really about it for that one. And I could put a handle on this one, but I decided to make it like a clutch. So that's that. So that's a super easy one too. And even if I cut it out of my memory dex card or whatever, or, you know, always around the edges, or, you know, if I didn't like this on the top, I could cut it straight across too. So really, it's up to you on what you want to do, how you want to decorate them. And make sure I get them all here in screen. And there's different ways you can make the closures. Just kind of what works good for you. But that's kind of what I came up with. And I'm sure that you guys will come up with other wonderful ideas. So I would love to see them. So this is going to be a fun swap, because everyone's going to come up with different ideas, different ways to decorate their purses, and it's just going to be fun, because they are really fun to make. I mean, I made 4, and look how long it took me to do just the basic for that one. Not very long at all. Not very long at all. So, that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you learned something. And if you have any questions, just leave a comment below. And that's it. Have a great evening and happy crafting. I'll see you next time. Bye.